If you like this video, why not subscribe?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Recap Q&A show. That's a show where I sit in my car and answer questions from the previous week. I apologize I wasn't able to do a show last week, or last Monday, because I was so heavily involved with the Kickstarter campaign for my thesis film. It was just absorbing all of my life, trying to get it ready, and so that's what I was doing. So I apologize for that. If you were looking forward to this show, I know this show tends to be only for hardcore followers of the channel. Because all I'm doing here is sitting and talking, answering questions, and hopefully sharing some worthwhile insights. And it's kind of like a podcast. You can just tab away if you're doing something else on the web and just listen to what I have to say if you're really interested in what I have to say. So if you're interested in getting a question on this show, your best way is to email me at thefrugalfilmmaker@gmail.com, and I'll try and answer you personally as well as on the show. So that's your best shot. Again, I brought up the Kickstarter campaign. My video last week was I made a camera, what I called a camera fattener, which was essentially a small rig that makes your small camera larger if you have big hands or bigger hands than your camera. Makes it more comfortable. And I call it the Kickstarter edition because I'm hardcore trying to promote my Kickstarter campaign. For my film, I'm trying to raise $9,000 for my thesis film. It's a 25-minute film called Collection Day. If you haven't heard about it yet, I can share some links below. I'm sure you have heard about it because that's all I've been talking about for the last few weeks. There's a link directly below in the description that will take you to the Kickstarter page if you haven't been already, or there's a link here on the screen somewhere that will do the same thing. A cool thing YouTube has started doing is allowing you to embed links that take you to fundraising sites outside of YouTube. And Kickstarter is one of those options. So if you were curious or didn't know, because YouTube before would not allow you to go outside of YouTube at all using annotations or links inside annotations, and now they do. And that might be something to do a video on because it is pretty handy if you're trying to raise money, which is what I'm trying to do. Okay, so it's really hot in the car today. Check the thermometer here. We've got 81 degrees and 70% humidity. You can see that. Yeah, it's pretty warm, so I'm going to try and blow through these questions as quickly as possible, and we'll keep going. All right, first question comes from Dan Kudo, who asks me a bunch of questions about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which I don't have a lot of experience on other than there's stuff all over the web about it. But he does ask a question that I can't answer off the top of my head, which was about my last video, because in the camera fattener video, I had a large manual lens on my NEX5N, and he says, is the Vivitar 70 to 210 millimeter lens you have on the NEX5N a manual lens? Did you need a special adapter? The answer, Dan, is yes, it is a manual lens. There is an adapter you have to get for it. They're really cheap on eBay. This is a Minolta mount on that lens, so all you have to do is go to eBay and type in Minolta to NEX adapter, and you'll get a whole bunch of options. The cheapest ones are $10, and they work fine. That lens, I'm actually using a Fotodiox adapter that's about twice as expensive as a normal adapter. It's $20 instead of $10, and I'll leave links to both of those adapters below. The more expensive one has a tripod mount on the adapter, so if you're using a huge lens like that, which can be kind of heavy, or any kind of long lens, super telephoto lens, zoom lens, whatever, the weight will come to bear on the lens adapter and not on the camera mount that's on your camera. So if you're using something really heavy, you don't want to add stress to your camera mount on your camera, because eventually it's going to break your camera, especially with these small cameras. But the lens adapter with the tripod mount is awesome, because then it actually, all the weight ends up on your lens adapter if you're on a tripod. Obviously, if you're holding the camera from the back, doesn't matter what your adapter is. If the camera's mounted itself, the weight is still going to weigh down on your mount. But if your whole rig, lens, adapter, camera is mounted on your tripod or whatever on the adapter, then all the weight is off of your camera itself, and it's the front heavy still because you have a big lens, but it's at least on the adapter and not on your camera. It's a really good adapter. The quality is really good, so I recommend it if you have larger lenses. There's smaller lenses too. It works on all lenses, but I bought that one specifically so I could use larger lenses with my camera with an appropriate adapter. Okay. And again, he does ask about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which is coming out right now. His main question was, if I had the money, would I get that versus the NEX5N? And I really don't know enough about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. It's a micro four thirds opposed to APS-C, so sensor's smaller. The crop factor is larger, meaning if you're using a 50mm lens, on my camera it's going to be 75mm, but if you use it with a micro four thirds, it's going to be more like an 85, 90mm. So I don't know. The NEX for me when I bought it was $500. The Blackmagic was $1,000. So money is definitely an issue with me because I didn't have $1,000. I had a $750 budget, and I bought the NEX 5N. Anyway, I'll try and respond more through email, Dan, to try and answer your question better. But I don't really have a lot of experience or knowledge about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera to answer your question effectively. But I do know all about the lens and the lens adapter. So thank you for asking, and hopefully that was a good answer to your question when you're looking for. Okay, Edward Monroe Smith Jr. asks, what camera and audio setup are you using for your show in the car videos? Exactly with the Zoom H1? Well, yes, I have mentioned that I am using, in the past, I mentioned this a lot, I'm using the Sony Exacti VPC CG10, which is one of those pistol grip cameras. They were awesome cameras. Panasonic bought Sanyo, so they don't make them anymore. They buried them or made similar models and then jacked the price way up. They're good cameras for a show like this. They're small, you can fit them in compact spaces like the dashboard of your car. And as far as the microphone issue goes, I am using on-camera mics for this. That's one reason I'm doing it in a car, because the acoustics are good enough to where on-camera mics would work pretty well. My very first time I did a show in this car, I used my normal camera, my Canon HFS 100 camcorder, and I had a microphone running into the camcorder, and the audio really didn't sound that much different, I think, due to the acoustics. And because I have to crank out this show so quickly, I don't have a lot of time to do it. I need a really quick workflow, so I don't want to have to sync sound and post. I don't want to have to record and import those files and blah, blah, blah. I can just take this camera, open it up, take the card out, pop it in my computer, and upload it directly from the card. I do some trimming in the camera or on YouTube if I have to, but it just goes directly to YouTube. It never even really touches my computer or an editor or anything else. Is one reason why I'm doing this whole thing. It's just for speed. So, and like I said, I don't really think I lose any quality. You can kind of it still has that sort of slightly reverby sound that you might recognize for being in a car, but it wasn't any different than when I was using a lav mic. So I decided just to shave that time off and go directly to the web from this show. So that's what I do for this show, where it's very hot. Now 84 degrees. Oh, the humidity's dropped a little bit. It's now only 68%, but it's 84 degrees in the car. I know some of you said, get out of the car, Scott. And you know, I will get out of the car as soon as I can, as soon as I have an alternative. But right now I don't. So, all right, finally we have Thomas Brown who asks, my question is, to become a serious short filmmaker, do you have to become a master of After Effects or similar program? I'm finding After Effects really hard to learn. Well, Thomas, I mean, I guess it depends on what sort of short films you want to make, because really you don't need much to be a serious short filmmaker. You can shoot your movies on the simplest camera, for cell phone camera, whatever. Any camera you can get a hold of, shoot your movies on. Now, if you're looking to do special effects exercises, like, you know, what Freddie Wong does, or Corridor Digital, or those guys, if those guys are your inspiration, then yeah, definitely you're going to have to learn some kind of effects program, because that's what you just have to. I mean, to get the things done that they do, I mean, they're professionals. They do, you know, freelance special effects work. So those guys have also been doing it for a while. But if you want to learn how to do stuff like theirs, if that's what you're looking for, special effects videos, yeah, you're going to have to learn After Effects. I don't know After Effects that well. A little bit, taking a little bit, one class in school. But I try and do everything in my editor. My Sony Vegas Pro is what I use. It's a pretty good compositor, and there are some effects capabilities, and I try and do everything within the editor so I don't have to go outside of it, especially since they're different brands. If you use Premiere Pro, After Effects is much more integrated because they're both made by Adobe, but I use Sony Vegas, so for me to use any kind of external program, I have to render out the clip I want to add effects to, put it in the program, add the effects, re-render it, drop it back in. That's really slow and cumbersome, but if you have something like, you know, all Adobe products, and everything's integrated so well, it's not that big of a deal. So, but I mean, it's After Effects is kind of like, you know, Photoshop for video. It's really, even if you're not using it a lot, it's good to know. It'll definitely increase your marketability if you ever want to get into, you know, the professional video world. If you know After Effects, that's definitely an asset. So I would not say no, don't learn After Effects, but it shouldn't stop you from making movies either. There's a lot of things you can do without After Effects. You could just do straight narratives without a lot of effects work. and even simple effects. Like I'm going to be doing a lot of muzzle flash type stuff for my thesis film, which I can do pretty much in Vegas unless the camera is moving around a lot and I have to do motion tracking, which I can't do in Vegas. But again, don't let that stop you. Use what you have available and make the best movie you can possibly make. Get a good script, get a good concept, get good actors, do everything you can to make everything else really good. Good lighting, good sound. But if you want to go the special effects route, I mean, definitely learn After Effects. It's the kind of the de facto standard right now as far as video that's not uber professional, like, you know, we're getting into high-end programs like Nuke or stuff like that. So After Effects is available to almost everybody, just like a lot of other stuff in the video world or, you know, filmmaking world. It's really cheap, really affordable. It's just going to take you time to learn it. Okay, so again, the question this week, I was going to ask, how many of you, or do you use After Effects in your videos? What would you say to Thomas about using After Effects? Like I said, I don't use it that much because I'm trying to stay self-contained within Vegas. But if you use After Effects, please tell us about it in the comments below. I'd appreciate hearing from you. And again, if you have some time, please check my link for the Kickstarter page for my thesis film collection day. We're up to about $1,700, $1,750, $1,740 right now. I've got about 19 days to go, and I'm trying to raise $9,000. So that's quite a lofty goal. But I'm going to throw all of that onto the screen and using all the techniques that I've learned to make this look like a really professional, well-made movie. So I definitely need help. And if you can't donate, then please spread the word, spread the link around. Please help me to get the film done so I can graduate and get out of film school. All right. So, again, if you want a question on this show, thefrugalfilmmaker@gmail.com is the best place to ask it. Best chance to get on the show if you want your question read on the show. There's always my blog, thefrugalfilmmaker.com. If you're looking for a hub of all this stuff, the Facebook group is getting really big. It's 8,000 members now. If you have a question or you want to post your video or you want to learn things or post links or what have you, that's a really good spot to do it in. There's Twitter @frugalfilmmaker if you want to reach me on Twitter, and the YouTube channel here, of course. So that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all your patronage, all your viewing of my stuff and questions and support and all that. Hopefully I'm helping you as a filmmaker to make your movie. So we'll see you next week. Bye.